The story begins in a small, dimly lit house in South Boston. Inside, a young man named Will Hunting sits hunched over a book. His face is calm, but his eyes move with a sharpness, scanning every word as though nothing could escape him. To the outside world, Will looks like just another working-class kid from the rough streets of Boston. Unremarkable, ordinary. But in reality, he is anything but ordinary. His best friend, Chucky Sullivan, soon arrives. Chucky is loud, brash, and full of energy, the complete opposite of Will's quiet intensity. He bangs on the door, yelling for Will to come out. Will closes the book, sets it aside, and joins him without hesitation. For Will, books are his secret world, but his friends are his shield. Together, they drive away in Chucky's beat-up car, heading into the city. Across town at the prestigious halls of MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Professor Gerald Lambo, a man of reputation and brilliance, stands before his students. He is known as one of the greatest mathematicians of his time. That day, he announces a challenge. On the hallway blackboard, he has written a problem. Not just any problem, but one of those legendary puzzles mathematicians pass down like riddles from the gods. Whoever solved this, he declares, will be remembered. Their name will be published on the front page of the MIT Tech. The students stare wide-eyed. To them, the equation looks impossible. For many, it will be a career's worth of struggle. But fate had different plans. Late at night, while sweeping the floors, Will notices the problem. He stares at it not with confusion, but with quiet curiosity. His mind doesn't struggle, it absorbs. The symbols, the logic, the patterns, they click together like pieces of a puzzle he's already solved in his head. That night, he sits in his modest room, scribbling endlessly, filling pages with calculations. His hand moves fast, his focus absolute. To Will, this isn't work. It's instinct. The next day, while cleaning again, he quietly writes the solution on the board. No announcement, no audience, no glory, just chalk on slate. Then he walks away. When Professor Gerald later discovers it, his world shakes. The answer is flawless. Who could have done this? His brilliant graduate students? Some visiting genius? He asks around, but no one knows. The mystery only deepens. Meanwhile, Will lives his double life. By day, a janitor. By night, a kid from the streets with his rough circle of friends. One afternoon, at a baseball game, Will spots a man from his childhood. Someone who once beat him brutally. Old wounds burn anew. At the time, he keeps his composure. But later, driven by rage, he gathers his friends and attacks the man and his group. The fight is vicious. Will pounds the man with all the fury he's kept locked away for years. The police arrive. Sirens. Shouts. Will is dragged away in handcuffs. To them, he's not a misunderstood genius. He's just another violent kid from South Boston. At MIT, Professor Gerald is obsessed. He needs to know who solved his problem. To test this mysterious genius, he writes another problem on the blackboard. This one is even harder. It had taken him and his colleagues 2 years of intense work to solve. That night, Will notices it. He studies it calmly, and once again, the solution forms in his mind like a picture he's already seen before. He writes it down just as quietly as the first time. But this time he is caught. Gerald stumbles upon him mid-solution. Their eyes meet. Gerald freezes, realizing the janitor, the boy sweeping the floor, is the one. A man the world dismisses as a nobody is, in truth, a once-in-a-generation genius. But Will's other life won't let him go so easily. In court, his criminal record is laid bare. Assault, theft, violence, even stolen cars. The judge sees him as a repeat offender, a man beyond saving. Despite knowing that Will grew up as an abused orphan, shuffled between violent foster homes, the judge shows no mercy. Prison awaits. But then, Professor Gerald intervenes. He pleads with the judge to release Will into his custody. "Let him work with me," he insists. "This boy is not a criminal. He is a miracle." The judge hesitates, then agrees, but only under two strict conditions. 1. Will must work with Professor Gerald on mathematics. 2. Will must attend therapy until he is deemed stable. Will smirks. Therapy? He'll play their game, he thinks. He's outsmarted everyone his whole life. Why not a few doctors too? The first therapist arrives, confident. But Will has done his homework. He's read the man's published works, memorized every page. During the session, Will exposes his secrets, mocking him with details only the doctor himself should know. Humiliated, the therapist quits. Another one follows. Will breaks in two. It seems hopeless, until Gerald calls upon an old friend. Sean McGuire is no ordinary psychologist. He teaches at a community college, not an Ivy League. He's rough around the edges, carrying the weight of his past in his tired eyes. Years ago, he had been Gerald's roommate. Unlike Gerald, Sean is not dazzled by genius. He knows the world isn't only equations and theories. It scars, loss, love, and pain. Their first meeting is a battlefield. Will mocks Sean, belittles his books, ridicules his life. Then he crosses the line. He insults Sean's late wife. In a flash, Sean snaps. He grabs Will by the throat and warns him, eyes burning, "If you ever disrespect my wife again, I will end you." For the first time, Will realizes this man won't back down. But instead of quitting, Sean returns. Patient, determined. Their next session isn't in an office. Sean takes Will to a park. Sitting on a bench under the open sky, Sean speaks with quiet force. "You think you know love because you've read Shakespeare? You think you understand war because you've read books? No, you know nothing. You've never held someone you loved while they took their last breath. You've never felt the weight of that loss." Sean tells him about his wife's cancer, about watching her fade away day by day. The pain of losing her still lives inside him. For the first time, Will listens. Really listens. Meanwhile, love begins to enter Will's life in the form of Skylar, a brilliant Harvard student. She is warm, witty, and fascinated by Will's mind. Their conversations sparkle, full of humor and charm. But Will hides his truth. He tells her he has 12 brothers. He laughs off questions about his family. Deep inside, he fears the moment she finds out the truth, that he's an orphan, broken, and scarred by abuse. Sean notices this. He pushes Will gently, telling him that perfection doesn't exist. "My wife wasn't perfect," Sean admits, "but I loved her. And she loved me, flaws and all." Will resists, but his walls begin to crack. Skylar eventually asks Will to move to California with her. It's a leap into the unknown, a chance at a future built on love. But fear consumes him. He believes she will leave him, that she will tire of his brokenness and choose someone better. His insecurities twist into anger. They argue. She confesses she knows he lied about his brothers, but loves him anyway. Instead of relief, Will lashes out. "I don't love you," he says. The words cut her deeply, though they are a lie. Skylar leaves, heartbroken. With Skylar gone, Will spirals. He fights with Gerald. He refuses to continue the math research. His genius means nothing to him. Job offers come, including one from the National Security Agency. It's power, money, prestige. But Will doesn't care. He tells Sean about it during a session. Sean doesn't push him toward the job. Instead, he asks the most important question of all. "What do you really want?" Will doesn't know. For all his brilliance, for all his genius, he has never allowed himself to dream. Then comes the session that changes everything. Sean shows Will his old case files, photographs, reports of the abuse he suffered in foster care, the beatings, the scars, the things no child should endure. Will shrugs it off, joking, pretending he's fine. But Sean doesn't let go. He looks him in the eyes and says softly, "It's not your fault." Will scoffs. "Yeah, I know." Sean repeats, "It's not your fault." Will grows defensive. "Don't mess with me." But Sean doesn't stop. Again and again, "It's not your fault." Finally, the dam breaks. Years of buried pain flood out. Will collapses into Sean's arms, sobbing like the child who never had anyone to hold him. For the first time in his life, Will lets himself be vulnerable. For the first time, he is free. Time passes. Will accepts a job, finally ready to use his gift. On his birthday, Chucky surprises him with a car. They laugh, they celebrate. But Will has another plan. He writes Sean a note. "Tell Professor Lambo I'm sorry, but I had to go see about a girl." Just as Sean once gave up everything for love, Will now chooses the same path. He drives west toward California, toward Skylar. Because jobs will always be there. Fame will always wait. But love, true love, comes once in a lifetime. And Will wasn't about to let it slip away.